In the office, silence can save you. Not every meeting needs your opinion. Not every message needs your reply. Not every rumor needs your reaction. Not every mistake needs your explanation. And not every person at work deserves access to your thoughts. This is something many people learn too late. They speak too much. They explain too much. They defend too much. They complain too much. They share too much. Then one day, they wonder why their words are being used against them. They wonder why people misunderstand them. They wonder why their manager sees them as difficult. They wonder why coworkers know too much about their private life. They wonder why every small sentence becomes a problem. But the truth is simple. In the workplace, your mouth can open doors, but it can also burn bridges. A careless sentence can follow you for months. A private complaint can travel across the office in one afternoon. A joke can become a report. A small opinion can become a label. A moment of anger can become your reputation. That is why silence is not weakness. Silence is control. Silence is patience. Silence is protection. Silence is the ability to choose what deserves your voice and what does not. Many people think being silent means being afraid. No, that is not always true. Sometimes, silence means you are smart enough not to fight in a room full of people who are waiting for you to make one mistake. Sometimes silence means you understand that not every battle is worth your energy. Sometimes silence means you are building something bigger than your need to be right in the moment. And sometimes silence means you already see the truth, but you do not need to announce it to everyone. In the office, words have weight. They do not disappear after you say them. They stay. They move. They change shape. You say one thing to one person. That person tells another person. Then another person adds their feeling. Then another person adds their opinion. By the time your words return to you, they are no longer your words. They are a new story. And somehow, you become the problem. This is why silence is golden in the workplace. Not because you should become cold. Not because you should never speak. Not because you should let people disrespect you. No, silence is golden because it gives you time. Time to think. Time to observe. Time to understand the room. Time to know who is safe and who is not. Time to choose the right words instead of throwing raw emotions into the air. In an office, people are not only listening to what you say, they are studying how you say it. They notice your tone. They notice your timing. They notice your attitude. They notice if you interrupt. They notice if you complain. They notice if you gossip. They notice if you panic. They notice if you can stay calm when things become uncomfortable. This is why the person who speaks less often looks more powerful. Not because they know everything, but because they do not waste words. When they speak, people listen. Their voice has value because they do not spend it everywhere. Think about a meeting. There is always one person who talks too much. They answer every question. They interrupt every idea. They repeat what other people already said. They try to look smart. They try to look important. But after a while, people stop listening. The words become noise. Then there is another person. They listen first. They take notes. They wait. They speak only when they have something useful to say. And when they finally speak, the room becomes quiet. Why? Because silence gave their words power. That is the difference. Speaking is not always influence. Sometimes speaking too much reduces your influence. Silence can increase it. Now, let's talk about office gossip. Gossip feels small. It feels harmless. It feels like a normal part of work. Someone says, "Did you hear what happened?" Another person says, "I probably should not say this, but..." Then the story begins. A coworker's mistake, a manager's decision, someone's private life, someone's salary, someone's relationship, someone's weakness. And if you are not careful, you join in. You laugh. You add one sentence. You give one opinion. You say, "I do not want to judge, but..." And that sentence becomes the hook. That sentence becomes the thing people remember. In the workplace, gossip is not just gossip. It is a test. It tests your discipline. It tests your character. It tests whether you can keep your mouth closed when the conversation becomes tempting. Because the people who gossip with you can also gossip about you. Remember that. The person who brings you someone else's secrets may bring your secrets to someone else. So, when gossip begins, you do not need to act superior. You do not need to give a speech. You do not need to say, "I do not gossip." Just step back. Stay neutral. Change the subject. Smile and say, "I do not know the full story." That sentence is powerful. I do not know the full story. It protects you. It keeps you out of the fire. It shows maturity without creating drama. Because in the office, the safest person is not the person with the most information. The safest person is the person who knows what not to repeat. If you are learning something from this, stay with this channel and subscribe now. Turn on the notification bell, because we talk about the quiet skills that protect your career, your reputation, and your peace. In the office, talent matters, but self-control matters too. And sometimes, the person who knows when to stay silent wins more than the person who always needs to speak. Now, let's go deeper. Silence is not just about avoiding gossip. Silence is also about emotional control. At work, people will annoy you. That is normal. Someone will speak to you in a sharp tone. Someone will take credit for your idea. Someone will blame you for something that was not your fault. Someone will send a cold email. Someone will ignore your contribution. Someone will act friendly in front of you and strange behind your back. This is office life. It is not always fair. It is not always warm. It is not always honest. And when these things happen, your first reaction may be to defend yourself immediately. You want to reply fast. You want to correct them. You want to say, "That is not true." You want to show everyone that you are not weak. But sometimes the strongest move is to pause. Do not answer from the wound. Do not type from anger. Do not speak while your heart is hot. A hot mouth creates cold consequences. One emotional email can damage months of good work. One angry comment can change how people see you. One public reaction can make you look unstable, even if you are right. This is not fair, but it is real. In the workplace, being right is not enough. You must also know how to respond. Silence gives you space between emotion and action. That space is where wisdom lives. When someone provokes you, pause. Breathe. Let the first wave pass. You do not need to answer in the first 10 seconds. You do not need to prove yourself immediately. You do not need to give people a reaction just because they tried to take one from you. Sometimes people throw words at you because they want to see you lose control. Do not give them that gift. Stay calm. Stay still. Stay professional. Then answer later with facts. Not emotion. Facts. This is how you protect yourself. For example, imagine someone says in a meeting, "I thought you were responsible for that, but it looks like it was not done." That sentence can feel like an attack. You may want to say, "No, you never told me that." You may want to say, "That is your fault." You may want to expose them in front of everyone, but a better response is calm. Let me clarify the timeline. That is it. Not angry, not defensive, not weak, just calm. Let me clarify the timeline. Then explain with facts. What was assigned? When it was assigned? What was completed? What still needs action? This kind of response makes you look professional. Silence first, then facts. That is power. Now, let's talk about oversharing. Many people destroy their professional image because they share too much personal information at work. They talk about family problems, money problems, relationship problems, health problems, vacant drama, private arguments, their feelings about every coworker, their thoughts about the manager, their plan to quit, their frustration with the company. They think they are just being honest. But the office is not your diary. The office is not your therapy room. The office is not your living room. The office is a professional environment. Yes, you can be friendly. Yes, you can be human. Yes, you can build relationships, but you must have boundaries. Not everyone who smiles at you is your friend. Not everyone who listens cares about you. Some people collect information. They keep it. They wait. Then they use it when it benefits them. Do not be stupid enough to hand people weapons and then act shocked when they aim them at you. That is harsh, but it is true. In the office, privacy is protection. You do not need to tell everyone your problems. You do not need to explain every mood. You do not need to reveal your personal life to feel connected. You can be kind and still private. You can be friendly and still careful. You can be warm and still wise. A simple rule is this: share what builds trust. Do not share what creates risk. Talk about neutral things. Work, books, food, travel, a hobby, a simple weekend, a useful idea, but be careful with sensitive topics. Your salary, your conflicts, your private relationships, your future job plans, your deep frustrations, your opinion about people in power. These things can become dangerous in the wrong ears. Silence is not about hiding who you are. It is about protecting what does not belong to everyone. Now, let's talk about meetings. Meetings are where many people lose points without knowing it. They think they must speak to show value. So they speak too often. They ask questions that do not need to be asked. They repeat ideas that already have been said. They talk just to appear active. They add noise because they are afraid of being invisible. But good managers can feel the difference between contribution and noise. Contribution helps the room. Noise fills the room. There is a big difference. Before you speak in a meeting, ask yourself 3 questions. Is this useful? Is this the right time? Is this the right audience? If the answer is no, stay silent. Take notes instead. Listen. Observe. Let others talk. You will learn more by listening than by rushing to prove that you exist. And when you do speak, make it clear, short, useful, direct. Do not speak for 5 minutes when 30 seconds is enough. Do not bury your point under too many words. Say what matters. Then stop. This is an underrated skill. Stopping. Many people begin well but ruin it because they do not stop. They make a clear point. Then they explain again. Then they give another example. Then they defend the example. Then they repeat the first point. By the end, the room is tired. Learn to stop. A clean sentence has power. A clean pause has power. Confidence is not speaking forever. Confidence is knowing when enough is enough. Now, let's talk about email and messages. In the office, writing is dangerous because written words stay. A spoken sentence can be forgotten. A written message can be saved, forwarded, screenshotted, and shown to someone else. So before you send a message, pause. Read it again. Ask yourself, would I be comfortable if my manager saw this? Ask yourself, would I be comfortable if this was forwarded? Ask yourself, does this sound emotional? Ask yourself, does this protect me? If you are angry, do not send. Write the message if you need to, but do not send it. Wait. Come back later. Remove emotion. Keep facts. Make it professional. For example, do not write, "You never told me this, and now you are blaming me." Write, "I want to clarify the expectation so we can move forward. My understanding was that the task would begin after receiving the final approval. Please confirm if you would like me to proceed now." See the difference? The first message creates conflict. The second message creates clarity. Same issue, different result. That is the power of controlled language. Silence first, then professional words. Now, let's talk about disagreement. You will not agree with everyone at work. You may disagree with your manager. You may disagree with a coworker. You may disagree with a decision. That is normal, but disagreement does not need to become drama. Many people think honesty means saying everything exactly as they feel it. No, that is childish. Honesty without control can become damage. A mature person knows how to disagree without attacking. Instead of saying, "That idea will not work," say, "I see the direction. One concern I have is the timeline." Instead of saying, "This makes no sense," say, "Can we review the assumptions behind this?" Instead of saying, "You are wrong," say, "I may be missing something. Here is how I understood it." These sentences are not weak. They are strategic. They allow you to speak without creating unnecessary enemies. In the office, you do not need to win every conversation. You need to protect long-term trust. Some people win the argument and lose the relationship. That is not smart. A workplace is not just a place of tasks. It is a place of memory. People remember how you made them feel. They remember if you embarrassed them. They remember if you attacked them in public. They remember if you made them look stupid. Even if you were right, they remember. So be careful. Correct privately when possible. Question respectfully. Disagree calmly. And stay silent when speaking would only feed ego. Now, let's talk about office politics. Some people hear office politics and think it means being fake. But office politics simply means understanding people, power, timing, relationships, and consequences. Every office has politics. Even a small office, even a friendly office, even a modern office that says, "We are like a family." Be careful with that sentence. "We are like a family" can sound nice. But at the end of the month, it is still a workplace. There are roles. There are salaries. There are decisions. There are promotions. There are conflicts. There are people protecting their own interests. This does not mean you should become paranoid. It means you should become observant. Watch who speaks. Watch who listens. Watch who influences decisions. Watch who repeats information. Watch who stays calm under pressure. Watch who smiles, but creates tension. Watch who helps quietly. Watch who takes credit loudly. Observation is a career skill, and silence helps you observe. If you are always talking, you miss the room. If you are always reacting, you miss the pattern. If you are always trying to be liked, you miss the truth. But when you stay quiet, you see more. You hear more. You understand more. You learn who is safe. You learn who is careless. You learn who respects boundaries. You learn who uses people. That information is valuable. Do not rush to show everyone what you know. Keep some knowledge private. Not everything you know needs to become a sentence. Now, let's talk about being misunderstood. Some people are afraid that if they stay silent, others will think they have nothing to say. That can happen. So silence must be balanced. You should not become invisible. You should not let people think you do not care. You should not hide from responsibility. That is not the silence we are talking about. We are talking about intelligent silence. Intelligent silence means you listen first, then speak with purpose. It means you do not waste words, but you do not disappear. It means you are calm, but not passive. It means you are respectful, but not weak. It means you know when to speak and when to let the moment pass. For example, if someone asks for your input, give it. If your work is being misrepresented, clarify it. If a boundary is being crossed, state it. If a decision needs your expertise, speak. If silence would harm you or others, do not stay silent. Silence is golden. But silence is not always the answer. This is important. Some people use silence because they are afraid. They avoid every conflict. They let people disrespect them. They say nothing when they should speak. That is not wisdom. That is fear wearing a nice suit. Do not confuse the two. Wise silence is chosen. Fearful silence is forced. Wise silence gives you power. Fearful silence steals it. So, learn the difference. Now, let's talk about boundaries. In the office, boundaries keep you sane. Without boundaries, people will take your time, your energy, your attention, and sometimes your peace. They will ask you for favors again and again. They will interrupt your work. They will bring you drama. They will expect instant replies. They will turn your kindness into an obligation. And if you always say yes, they will not always respect you more. Sometimes they will just use you more. This is where silence helps. You do not need to explain every boundary. You do not need to write a long speech. You do not need to apologize for protecting your time. A simple sentence is enough. I cannot take that on today. I am focused on a deadline right now. Please send that in writing. I will review it when I have time. That does not work for my schedule. Short, calm, clear. No long explanation. The more you explain, the more people negotiate. The more you justify, the more people push. Say it clearly. Then stop. Silence after a boundary is powerful. Many people state a boundary, then panic. They talk too much. They soften it. They apologize. They explain. They make the boundary weaker. Do not do that. Say the boundary. Then let it stand. The silence after your sentence is not empty. It is the wall that protects the sentence. Now, let's talk about reputation. Your reputation at work is built by many small moments. How you speak, how you listen, how you react, how you handle pressure, how you talk about people who are not in the room, how you respond when things go wrong, how much drama follows you. Some people are talented, but nobody trusts them. Why? Because they talk too much. They leak information. They complain in public. They react emotionally. They turn every issue into a story. They make people feel unsafe. Talent can get you noticed, but character keeps you respected. Silence is part of character. A person who can keep a confidence is valuable. A person who does not gossip is valuable. A person who does not panic is valuable. A person who thinks before speaking is valuable. A person who knows when to stay professional is valuable. In the long run, people trust stability. They trust the person who does not explode. They trust the person who does not spread everything. They trust the person who can sit in a difficult room and stay calm. That kind of trust is not built by loud talking. It is built by control. Now, let's talk about the need to be right. This need is dangerous. Many people cannot stay silent because they want to be right immediately. They want everyone to know. They want to correct every detail. They want to win every small point. But in the office, not every correction is useful. Sometimes correcting someone publicly gives you nothing but resentment. Sometimes proving your point creates more tension than value. Sometimes the best move is to let a small mistake pass. Ask yourself, does this matter? Will this affect the work? Will this protect the team? Will this change the result? Or do I only want to feel right? That last question is painful, but it is important. Ego talks too much. Wisdom chooses. If the mistake matters, speak. If it does not matter, let it go. You do not need to attend every argument you are invited to. You do not need to correct every sentence. You do not need to fight every misunderstanding. Some things die faster when you do not feed them. Silence can starve unnecessary drama. Now, let's talk about listening. Many people wait for their turn to speak. They do not really listen. They prepare their answer while the other person is talking. They hear words, but they miss meaning. They hear sound, but they miss emotion. Good listening is rare. That is why it is powerful. When you listen well, you understand what people really want. You understand what they fear. You understand what they are not saying. You understand the pressure behind the sentence. In meetings, listening helps you ask better questions. In conflict, listening helps you avoid wrong assumptions. In leadership, listening helps people feel respected. In teamwork, listening prevents mistakes. Silence creates room for listening, and listening creates better speech. A person who listens well speaks better because their words are based on understanding, not impulse. Now, let's talk about managers. If you are a manager, silence is even more important. Your words carry more weight. A small comment from you can change someone's whole day. A joke from you can become pressure. A criticism from you can become fear. A promise from you can become expectation. A careless sentence from you can damage trust. Managers must be careful with words. Do not criticize when you are angry. Do not give vague promises. Do not speak badly about one employee to another. Do not use silence as punishment. That last one matters. There is wise silence, and there is toxic silence. Wise silence creates space. Toxic silence creates fear. If you are a leader, do not disappear when your team needs clarity. Do not ignore people to show power. Do not stay silent when your silence creates confusion. Leadership silence should be thoughtful, not cruel. Sometimes a leader should listen more. Sometimes a leader should pause before deciding. Sometimes a leader should let the team speak first. But when clarity is needed, speak clearly. Silence is golden, only when it serves wisdom, not when it becomes avoidance. Now, let's talk about being new in an office. When you are new, silence can protect you. Many new employees make a mistake. They arrive and speak too quickly. They give opinions before understanding the culture. They criticize old systems. They compare everything to their previous job. They try to prove themselves too fast. And people begin to resist them. A better approach is simple. Observe first. Learn the names. Learn the workflow. Learn who does what. Learn what problems already exist. Learn what has been tried before. Learn the hidden rules. Every office has hidden rules. Who likes direct communication? Who needs written confirmation? Who makes final decisions? Who influences the manager? Who avoids conflict? Who creates conflict? You cannot learn these things if you talk non-stop. So, when you are new, listen more than you speak. Ask useful questions. Take notes. Show respect for what already exists. Then, when you understand the room, your ideas will land better. Timing matters. A good idea at the wrong time can be rejected. A good idea delivered with arrogance can create enemies. A good idea spoken after careful listening can create trust. Now, let's talk about pressure. Work can be stressful. Deadlines, meetings, emails, customers, targets, mistakes, changes. Pressure makes people reveal themselves. Some people become rude. Some people blame others. Some people talk too much. Some people panic. Some people gossip. Some people disappear. But the person who can stay quiet and focused under pressure becomes valuable, not silent in a useless way. Focused. They do not add chaos. They do not spread fear. They do not throw words everywhere. They ask, what is the next step? They look at the facts. They solve one thing at a time. In a crisis, calm is leadership, even if you are not the manager. A calm employee can steady the room. A calm voice can reduce panic. A calm message can bring order. And often, calm begins with silence. One breath, one pause, one moment of control before action. Now, let's talk about praise. This may sound strange, but silence is also useful when you receive praise. Some people cannot receive praise quietly. Someone says, "Good job." They immediately explain, "Oh, it was nothing. I got lucky. Actually, I made many mistakes. It was not that good." They talk themselves down. Stop doing that. When someone praises you, you do not need a speech. Say, "Thank you. I appreciate that." Then stop. Let the praise land. Silence allows confidence to breathe. Do not destroy your own value with nervous talking. Now, let's talk about criticism. When someone criticizes your work, your first instinct may be to defend yourself. That is natural. But try this. Listen first. Do not interrupt. Let them finish. Take a breath, then ask, "Can you give me a specific example?" This sentence helps. It moves the conversation from emotion to facts. If the criticism is useful, learn from it. If the criticism is unfair, respond calmly. But do not fight every word. A person who can receive criticism without falling apart looks strong, not because they accept everything, but because they stay in control. Silence helps you hear what is useful and ignore what is noise. Now, let's talk about private ambition. Do not announce everything too early. Some people talk too much about their goals. They say, "I want that promotion. I am applying somewhere else. I am going to start a business. I am learning a new skill to leave this company." Be careful. Not everyone needs to know your next move. Build quietly. Improve quietly. Apply quietly. Study quietly. Prepare quietly. Then let results speak. There is power in being underestimated. There is safety in not explaining every plan. There is peace in moving without announcing. In the office, loud ambition can attract attention. Quiet ambition can create progress. You do not need everyone clapping while you build. Sometimes you need privacy more than applause. Now, let's talk about trust. Trust is not built by telling people everything. Trust is built by consistency. Can people trust you to do what you said? Can they trust you to keep private things private? Can they trust you not to explode? Can they trust you not to twist their words? Can they trust you to be fair? Can they trust you to speak when it matters? This is why silence is part of trust. If people know you do not repeat everything, they feel safer with you. If they know you do not join every gossip session, they respect you. If they know you do not react emotionally to every issue, they come to you in serious moments. A quiet person with integrity becomes powerful over time, not overnight, over time. Now, let's talk about the difference between silence and distance. You can be silent without being cold. You can be private without being rude. You can be professional without being unfriendly. Some people think boundaries make them look arrogant. No, bad attitude makes you look arrogant. Boundaries make you look mature. You can smile. You can greet people. You can help. You can be pleasant. You can join simple conversations. But you do not need to reveal your whole life. You do not need to react to every drama. You do not need to be available for every emotional storm. Professional warmth is possible. Warm, but not exposed. Friendly, but not careless. Kind, but not naive. That is the balance. Now, let's talk about one sentence that can protect you. I will think about it. This sentence is simple, but it can save you. When someone asks for something and you feel pressured, say, I will think about it. When someone invites you into gossip, say, I will think about it, or I do not know enough to comment. When someone pushes you to answer too fast, say, let me review it first. When someone asks for your opinion on a sensitive issue, say, I want to understand more before I respond. These sentences give you time, and time protects judgment. Many mistakes happen because people answer too quickly. They agree too quickly. They reject too quickly. They promise too quickly. They react too quickly. Slow down. A fast mouth often creates slow regret. Now, let's talk about respect. People often respect the person who can stay composed. Composed means calm and in control, not stiff. Not fake, not emotionless, composed. You can feel emotion and still choose your behavior. You can feel anger and still speak professionally. You can feel hurt and still avoid gossip. You can feel pressure and still stay clear. That is maturity. And maturity is rare. Most people are slaves to their first reaction. They feel anger, so they speak anger. They feel fear, so they spread fear. They feel jealousy, so they throw shade. They feel insecurity, so they talk too much. Do not be like that. Do not be controlled by every feeling that passes through you. Feelings are real, but feelings are not always instructions. Sometimes the best thing you can do with a feeling is let it pass in silence. Now, let's talk about when you should speak, because again, silence is not always the answer. Speak when safety is at risk. Speak when someone is being treated unfairly. Speak when your work is misrepresented. Speak when a clear decision is needed. Speak when your silence would become agreement with something wrong. Speak when a boundary needs to be set. Speak when you have useful information. Speak when your voice can help the team. But even then, speak with control. Courage does not need to be loud. Truth does not need to be rude. Strength does not need to insult. A strong sentence can be calm. A clear boundary can be polite. A serious concern can be professional. Do not confuse aggression with power. Aggression often shows a lack of control. Real power is controlled. Now, let's talk about ending drama. Sometimes a coworker wants to pull you into a conflict. They say, "Can you believe what she did?" They say, "Everyone thinks this is unfair." They say, "You agree with me, right?" Be careful. They are trying to recruit your voice. They want your words to strengthen their side. You can respond without entering the war. Say, "That sounds difficult. I hope it gets resolved." Say, "I think it is best if you speak with them directly." Say, "I do not want to comment without knowing the full situation." These sentences are boring. Good. Boring keeps you safe. Drama feeds on emotional words. Do not feed it. Now, let's talk about silence after success. When you do good work, you do not always need to announce it loudly. Let the work be visible. Document it. Share updates professionally. But do not brag every 5 minutes. People see more than you think. And if they do not see it, make it visible in the right way. Send clear progress updates. Keep records. Mention outcomes. But avoid desperate self-promotion. There is a difference between visibility and noise. Visibility says, "Here is the result." Noise says, "Look at me, look at me, look at me." Be visible. Do not be noisy. Now, let's talk about silence when someone tries to insult you. Sometimes, not responding is the strongest response. If someone makes a small rude comment, you can pause. Look at them calmly. Do not laugh nervously. Do not rush to fix the discomfort. Let the silence sit there. Many rude people depend on quick reactions. They want you to laugh. They want you to defend. They want you to become small. But silence can turn the mirror back on them. A calm pause can say, "I heard you, and I am not shaken." Then you can continue professionally. Or you can say, "Let's keep this focused on the work." Short, clear, no drama. Now, let's talk about the emotional cost of speaking too much. Every unnecessary conversation costs energy. Every gossip session costs focus. Every argument costs peace. Every explanation costs time. Every defense costs mental space. If you speak too much at work, you may go home tired, not because of the work itself, but because of all the emotional noise you entered. Protect your energy. Your energy is not unlimited. You need it for your real work. You need it for your family. You need it for your health. You need it for your future. Do not spend all of it reacting to people who will not matter in 5 years. This is why silence is not empty. Silence is storage. It stores energy. It stores dignity. It stores focus. It stores peace. Now, let's talk about a simple office rule. Before you speak, check the room. Who is listening? What is the mood? Is this public or private? Is this emotional or factual? Is this the right time? Is this necessary? This takes only a few seconds, but it can save you from many problems. A smart person does not only think about what to say. A smart person thinks about where, when, how, and to whom. Context changes everything. A sentence that is fine in private may be dangerous in a meeting. A joke that is fine with one coworker may offend another. A complaint that feels normal at lunch may sound unprofessional near the wrong person. So pay attention. The office is not a stage for your unfiltered thoughts. It is a place where words have consequences. Now, let's talk about emotional maturity. Emotional maturity means you do not need to express every feeling immediately. You can be upset and still wait. You can be disappointed and still think. You can be angry and still choose respectful words. You can be hurt and still protect your dignity. This is hard, but this is where growth happens. Anyone can speak when angry. Anyone can complain when frustrated. Anyone can gossip when tempted. Anyone can blame when scared. But not everyone can pause. Not everyone can stay composed. Not everyone can choose silence until the right words arrive. That is why silence is a sign of strength. Not always, but often. Now, let's talk about the person who tries to make silence uncomfortable. Some people cannot handle your calm. They will say, "Why are you so quiet?" They will say, "You never say anything." They will say, "You are hard to read." Do not let that pressure you into careless speech. You can answer simply, "I like to think before I speak." That is a strong sentence. I like to think before I speak. It is calm. It is honest. It is not defensive. And it tells people that your silence is intentional. Now, let's talk about the long game. Your career is not one conversation. Your reputation is not one meeting. Your growth is not one day. Work is a long game. And in a long game, self-control matters. The person who needs attention every day may win small moments, but the person who builds quietly, listens carefully, speaks wisely, and protects their reputation can win the bigger game. Do not be fooled by loud people. Some loud people are successful, yes, but many loud people are also unstable. They attract attention, but not always trust. They create energy, but also drama. They look confident, but sometimes they are just noisy. You do not need to copy noise to be seen. You need results. You need judgment. You need consistency. You need relationships built on trust. And you need the discipline to know when silence is better than speech. Now, let's move toward the end. In the office, silence is not about becoming invisible. It is about becoming intentional. Intentional with your words. Intentional with your energy. Intentional with your relationships. Intentional with your reputation. You do not need to speak less because you are afraid. You speak less because your words deserve value. You do not stay silent because you are weak. You stay silent because you are watching, thinking, and choosing. You do not avoid gossip because you are boring. You avoid gossip because you are not stupid enough to play with fire and call it friendship. You do not overshare because you are lonely. You protect your private life because not every coworker deserves a front row seat to your pain. You do not react quickly because someone provoked you. You pause because you refuse to be controlled by another person's behavior. This is maturity. This is professionalism. This is power. Remember this. Silence is not the absence of thought. Sometimes silence means there is too much thought to waste on the wrong person. Silence is not the absence of confidence. Sometimes silence means your confidence does not need noise. Silence is not the absence of courage. Sometimes silence means you are brave enough to wait for the right moment. And in the workplace, the right moment matters. A sentence said too early can be ignored. A sentence said in anger can be punished. A sentence said to the wrong person can be twisted. But a sentence said calmly, at the right time, with the right purpose, can change everything. So tomorrow, when you enter the office, practice this. Listen before you speak. Pause before you reply. Think before you send. Observe before you trust. Protect your private life. Avoid gossip. Set boundaries without over-explaining. Speak when it matters. Stay silent when speaking only feeds drama. This is not easy, because the ego wants to talk. The ego wants to defend. The ego wants to prove. The ego wants to win. But peace often begins when the ego becomes quiet. And career growth often begins when your mouth stops creating problems your work did not create. If this message helped you, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Share this with someone who is trying to survive office politics, protect their peace, and grow without becoming bitter. And remember, in the workplace, your words are tools. Use them carefully, use them wisely, and sometimes use silence instead. Because in the office, silence can be golden. Not because words are useless, but because the right words need the right moment, and the wrong words can cost more than you think. So, choose your words. Protect your peace. Build your reputation quietly. Let your work speak. Let your calm speak. Let your discipline speak. And when it is finally time to use your voice, make sure your words are worth the silence that came before them.